This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is The List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
You are listening to the List Building Lifestyle Show. Aren't you lucky to be here? Yes, you are. And here is the chief list builder, the Sultan of solo ads, Mr. Igor Kheifets.
Oh, wow, the Sultan. Isn't that like a... I don't think I qualify for a Sultan. I think you need to have 3 wives minimum to be a Sultan.
Oh, shoot, man. You're slacking. You better get to work.
Oh, man, if you can find a legal loophole to do that, then I'm down. I'll,
sure.
Coach me.
Coach
me.
Nice. I'm sure your wife's going to love that.
Oh, yeah. She's going to be the one picking them for me. She's like, no, she's not worthy of my man. And, this one, we will test her out for, 500 clicks.
You better make sure you get one that knows how to clean. Add one that knows how to clean. Another one that knows how to cook.
I'm gonna get so sued because of you.
Oh, shit. All right.
I'm definitely getting into a lawsuit trouble.
Look, I didn't know that's what Sultan meant. I was just trying to use alliteration. It's easy to remember. So, Igor, let's get serious now. We're having a lot of fun, but come on. What are we here for today?
Well, it's really hard to tell because all we do is shoot the shit in these calls, right? We don't. It's really hard to keep delivering value every single day. I was watching just literally this week as we're recording. There was the big Super Clasico game, which is Real Madrid against Barcelona, and me and Dennis, I'm a Real Madrid fan as well as Manchester United fan, but Dennis and my dad, they cheer for Barcelona, my brother too, and Barcelona ain't looking too good this year. And I was watching this video review by one of the ex-Barcelona players who I really respect, Thierry Henry. And, he said, look, everybody talks about how Barcelona ain't showing up. But first off, they're still fighting for the title. And second, it's really hard to be at the top of your game for 10 years, nonstop, every year, every game, playing like 50-something games every season. And, he has a point. And now that we're way past the 130 episode mark, and we've done so many, I'm thinking, man, it's really hard to keep coming up with more things to talk about and with more value to give to the listeners. It's getting really difficult without repeating myself.
Oh, Igor, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. With 130 episodes, you start going back to stuff you said in episode 2 and 3. They've already forgotten about that. You got to drive home them points.
You should have included that in your quick start guide for successful podcasting.
I have run into that, buddy.
All jokes aside, today we're going to be chatting about something really important, and that is 2 things. First off, what is marketing? In other words, although we spoke about this many times on the show, a lot of people still don't understand what marketing truly means. They think marketing is driving traffic. They think marketing is joining a business opportunity. Well, no, it's not. Driving traffic is driving traffic, and joining business opportunities is literally joining business opportunities. When it comes to marketing, marketing means producing that indoctrinating content and communication to the marketplace that allows the marketplace to perceive you as a trusted authority and an expert, and then making a call to action for them to actually do something like buy from you or sign up on your list. And now, when it comes to marketing, it's really important to understand what it takes to create good marketing. Because, there's a lot of people out there who can produce content, but very few people that can actually do a good job of it, And I found out that it's really difficult sometimes for me to teach someone who's brand new to produce good marketing. And even though I give them all my secrets, they still fail to do that. And what I found is it often comes down to their experience. So in other words, kind of growing up in this industry, right? I've been here for almost 10 years now, kind of going through the motions. I took a lot of shit. I went through lots and lots of painful experiences. I got scammed, I got bruised, I tested traffic campaigns that failed, I had people refunding $6,000 coaching programs after 6 months of being in the program, claiming I'm a scammer. I've had rip-off reports submitted against me. I've had so much crazy stuff happen to me that it's really easy for me to produce good marketing. Because to produce good marketing, you really have to have taken lots and lots of punishment in your career. That's what, this experience and the lessons you learned are the prerequisite for you to produce something really good. Now, another example of this, something I've seen a couple of days ago, which kind of sparked the idea behind this episode. There's this Russian lady. She's like sort of like a stand-up comedian and an Instagram star and a YouTuber, and she's sort of like all-around communicator, right? She's a public person. Has a ton of followers on YouTube, a ton of followers on Instagram in Russia. Very popular girl. Now, she's giving this dating advice or relationship advice, probably. Yeah, relationship is more accurate because she talks about the relationship, not so much about how to get, hooked up with the right guy. And she released this video. It said something so true. She said, "Don't message me thinking that I'm the saint and that I know everything about everything and when it comes to relationships and that I never made any mistakes. That's not true. The reason I'm able to produce all these videos for you and give you all this advice is because I made a ton of mistakes myself. I made every mistake in the book. I was divorced twice. I broke up with like a gazillion boyfriends and this and this and this, which makes a lot of sense. The reason she can give us advice is because she made the mistakes. Which brings me to another point, which I believe I mentioned in one of the recent emails that we sent out, and that is, what's up with all the coaches that are like 16 years old telling me how to live my life?
Come on,
right?
Igor. You need a 16-year-old life coach because you do not have any vision.
Yeah, sure. But seriously, I was scrolling through YouTube the other day on my phone. Not sure why I did that, by the way, because I'm committed not to do social media anymore, but I was, okay, guilty as charged. And I saw this video by this young guy. He was doing a video about why he got comfortable with being alone or something like that. Like he's alone and he's annoyed that people want to hang out with him and this and that. I'm like, dude, you are barely 20 years old. You haven't lived your life. You haven't really made mistakes. Why am I even sitting here listening to you, on how to live my life?
Why worry?
Even though his advice was pretty cool, by the way. The advice he gave was okay, but I'm sure he read it in the book and just kind of, repurposed it in his own video. But my point is, everybody's trying to teach you something even though they don't have this experience, which brings me to the point. That's why they can't really become true leaders yet, because they don't have this experience. Not yet anyway. They have to go out and make some mistakes and come back, with battle scars. And when you come back with battle scars, this is when this stuff truly kind of shines through you. You know what I mean? Like, you can be talking about the same thing that another guy is talking about, but it will shine through the other guy so much better than it shines through you. Oftentimes has a lot to do with the experience.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it. I think it was like Harvard Business Review or something. Anyways, they were talking about how pain makes an imprint on your memory. And so you have tattoos also, so you know what this is like, but those tattoos cause some pain when you're getting them, but you remember where you were, what you were doing, why you got that tattoo, right? Because it causes that imprint. And I think it's the same thing with experiences in your life is you have to go through that pain. It causes that imprint that you can't forget. And then you're able to communicate that with people. And that's what so many people like these 2-year-old life coaches are missing. They have not felt that yet.
Yeah, I agree. And, I completely agree about the pain leaving an imprint. If you think about it, if I think about it, there's very few moments that are positive that I can remember from my childhood. Most of it is the bad stuff. Especially if I, walk around near high school somewhere, I look at that thing and all of a sudden there's like flashbacks of really nasty experiences coming back to me. So yeah, it does leave a freaking imprint. And it does allow you to come from a really true place when you try to educate and indoctrinate your potential customers into working with you. And they really, they want to work with somebody who made the mistakes, by the way. They don't want to work with somebody who's got the blueprint. They want to work with somebody who can tell them war stories. One of the most effective marketing tactics that I've ever fell under the spell of, if you will, right? So when it comes to Dan Kennedy, John Carlton, Gary Halbert, the one thing they all have in common is they have these crazy marketing war stories that they are telling, which not only build up their credibility so much, but also allow me to say, man, these guys know what they're talking about, and that's why I'm willing to pay John Carlton $2,500 for an hour of his time. $2,500 for an hour. That's actually more than I'm paying. That's double the rent I'm paying right now. Okay, for an hour of his time, and you have to prepay for 4. The last time I checked. So, telling war stories is such a good, authentic marketing tactic. It doesn't require you to hype the crap out of your emails or videos or whatever. You just tell the war story, and you're instantly credible.
I got to get some more war stories. I'm writing myself a note here. I need more war stories.
I'm writing myself a note here.
More war stories for everyone. All of a sudden, we're going to be blasting our list with all this stuff. But, all right, so knowing the pain, going through the experience, and then being able to translate that to your market. So that's what you're saying is a good way to attract people. That's marketing. Is that what we're talking about here? Marketing? That's one of the pillars, I suppose?
Yeah, that's the definition, right? One of the ways to market is to tell war stories that doesn't require you to go out and say, oh, I made $1 gazillion, if you haven't made it. Not to mention that even when you made $1 gazillion doesn't mean that you got to go and talk about it, because it doesn't mean that your customers will make that, right? I think Ben put out a great email last week where he spoke about why he doesn't use numbers in email. And even if he does use some numbers, he usually doesn't use his own numbers, but only the successful case studies that the people send in from the newsletter, which is really smart. Really, really smart, because when I started out and there was this ClickBank launch craze, every headline looked the same. Here's the one-click button software that made me $7 million in 42 days, blah, blah, blah. Next day, something else is going live, and here's the WordPress plugin that produced $200,000 in the first 12 hours of me launching it, etc. So it's always like a claim attached to some sort of a number. And honestly, I don't like that sort of marketing. First off, it attracts their own kind of person. And second, it doesn't build up your credibility. It just makes the customer go, oh, another one of those assholes that screams numbers at me. They're immune to that stuff anymore. At this point, right? The consumer changed compared to, 3, 4, 5, 7 years ago. It's a different consumer. You can't get people just because you tell them, hey, come in and you have the potential to make big money. It's like every single MLM and business opportunity these days, it sells through the same freaking strategy. They come in, they show the lifestyle, then they're like, so here's what your income potential is. Right, the keyword is potential, which basically translates into you're never going to make that ever. And so they show you, right? They show you these levels, and they show you the compensation plan. They show you the winning product, and they give you a replicated website. But of course, none of that stuff works. Nobody's going to join. That's why these companies rely so heavily on top earners who tell war stories in the first place. They need the people. And another funny thing is that nobody notices that, but when it comes to business opportunity marketing, everybody's playing a different game. Like the company owner is playing the game of where can I recruit my next top earner that's going to bring me a lot of people, right? The top earner is playing a different game. The top earner basically plays the game of what's my next big shiny thing that I'm going to bring my team into.
Nice.
Right? And the people joining them at business, they're like, what's the next thing that is finally going to make me rich? So everybody's playing a completely different game, but nobody's realizing that.
No kidding. And they all have way different agendas. Nice. He's breaking down everything in MLM. Everybody's going to hate him. You should be thanking this guy for this stuff. People are going to blacklist Igor for letting you know all this.
Oh, that already happened, man. You're so late with that.
Yeah.
I already annoyed and angered so many quote-unquote influencers to a point where they went for days literally bashing me on their Facebook, bashing me on their blog, releasing videos telling how my service is rude and my traffic is overrated and overpriced and a lot of different things like that. So that thing is already happening. So I might as well, be honest.
The cat's out of the bag. All right. So war stories. What else? Any other stuff going through the pain, sharing that pain? Being more than 12 years old, that's another prerequisite for being in business, I guess.
Yeah, the other thing about war stories is that it's kind of like in fiction. When you read a book and you see a hero and you see how this hero is basically going through this challenge, or he has a goal, he sets out to get the goal, but there's a bunch of challenges along the way. So every time we read about somebody overcoming the challenges, it's almost like we are overcoming these challenges ourselves. We get a part of that experience. So hypothetically, if we encounter the same challenges in our lives, we have a pretty good idea what we need to do. That's why people who read a lot are so smart, because they just get to live so many lifetimes in just one lifetime thanks to the books. So when you tell war stories to your market, what happens is they're able to relive these experiences with you. They get to, ask themselves the question like, oh my God, how did he get out of that one? How did he recover from bankruptcy? How did he recover from losing his 100,000 lead AWeber account? How did he recover from having this client who got so upset with him that he literally went out and started a whole out information war against him and yada, yada, yada. All that stuff, is really, really important, because the market needs to know that. Your potential prospects need to know that. And by reliving this with you, when you tell the story, you're allowing them to quite literally bond with you, right? To have this common experience that you've just shared together that feels like they went through this journey with you. So, and if you don't know, just in case you don't know, going through a journey or overcoming a challenge together with somebody is one of the most incredible things you can do when it comes to bonding with them. I mean, when I was in the army and we were going through the boot camp, right, I didn't have a single Russian in my 8-person little platoon thing, right? I don't know what's the technical term for that, but we were 8 people. We shared the tent, we shared the dinner table, we shared the toilet, we shared everything. So by going through this experience together, all 8 of us, by the time we were done with the boot camp, probably about 30% in, we were like the best friends. Like I literally went home. I think week 3, they allowed us to go home for a couple of days, and I told my wife I'm missing the guys. I only met these guys a couple of weeks ago, and I already told her, look, I miss them. I don't know, but that's how the brain works. You go through an experience together, and it's almost like you're the best friends.
Yeah, that's a popular movie plot, probably book plot and everything. The hero's journey story that Igor just described. If you guys don't know, look it up. Hero's journey framework. So, Igor, we're coming close to the end here. Anything else you want to say as we are wrapping up?
Yes. One more thing that I picked up from Steve Martin's masterclass. The masterclass that I was sharing a couple episodes back. Really cool stuff, like I said. Highly recommend. Go to masterclass.com. I'm not sure how they got that domain. Probably paid a lot of money for it. But there's a Steve Martin masterclass about humor, about stand-up comedy, about, comedy writing. And he shares a really cool secret that basically says, make yourself the topic or the content of your writing. So when it comes to stand-up comedy, you see a lot of comics, they laugh about themselves and they tell stories about what happened to them. Same thing in your marketing. Make yourself the hero of everything you're talking about, and it gets easier, it gets interesting, it gets fun, and it allows the customer to quite literally befriend you without ever having a real one-on-one conversation with you.
That's interesting. I like that. All right, so that is a wrap for another List Building Lifestyle show. Thank you, Igor, for sharing your war stories with us, and thank you, list builders, for tuning in. We will be back next time.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.